Master Your Mindset Radio, episode 71.
Welcome to Master Your Mindset Radio, the show where we empower you to conquer limiting beliefs and transform your world with your gifting and purpose. Now for your host, Elizabeth Nader.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode, the last episode of 2020. Next time I talk to you, we will be in 2021, and I am so excited to see what the new year has to bring, and really just excited about moving forward in what I'm doing in my purpose, and I hope that you feel the same way. But you know, one of the things that continually gets in the way of us experiencing and chasing our purpose are the lies that we believe, the limiting beliefs that we hold on to, the toxic thoughts that we have that hold us back. And that, of course, is one of the main aspects of the things I talk about all the time, because what I really care about in this world is that people know, believe, accept, embrace the truth about themselves, that they see the truth, that they operate from a position of truth, that they are able to challenge the lies they've held on to for so long so they can actually be the person they were created to be. For people to find their true selves before the world told them otherwise. This is my passion, and I want to help people create that vision for their life so they can see what the truth really is about themselves. This isn't always easily done, but I can tell you there's nothing more powerful than when you overcome a lie that you've believed for years. When you start to see the truth about yourself and you step forward in the power of that, it is definitely life-changing. So today I want to challenge you and ask you this question. Are you mentally invested in a lie? Are you mentally invested in a lie? Now, I was thinking about how, especially on social media, it's such an interesting experiment, how people are so convinced of the things that they believe, to the point where they will believe and hold on to something negative. And even if you show them truth, statistics, voluminous amount of data that proves that what they're believing is not true, they often will push back and say no. They'll come up with their own information to shield, protect, hold on to that lie that they're believing. But when it's a negative lie, when it's a negative outview of life, and they're so quick to defend it, I always pause and wonder, why is it you so much want that negative thing to be true? Why are you so defensive of something that holds you back? Why do you hold on so tightly to something that brings you down? And I never understood that about people. I don't understand why they are so insistent on believing lies that hurt them, why they double down on negative things that control their thinking. So I was thinking about that, and I was wondering to myself if we all don't do that to some degree. And I thought about the idea that I actually wrote about in my book that came from the movie Pretty Woman. So if you haven't read my book, yes, I quote Pretty Woman, the movie from the 80s. Was that the late 80s, early 90s in my book? But there's a scene in that where Julia Roberts, who's been a prostitute for quite some time, and she's with Richard Gere, and he is talking to her about her life, and she's sharing, how she grew up, and he says to her, I think you're so amazing. I think there's so many great things about you. You have so much potential. And she tells him all the bad things that have been done to her and said to her. And he said, I don't understand why you don't see yourself differently. And of course, I'm paraphrasing this, but she says, the bad things are easier to believe. And that always struck me because I thought, it's true. We hold on to the bad things. We hold on to the bad news about ourselves. We hold on to the lies. We hold on to the limiting beliefs as though somehow they're safer to believe than something positive. So is that why we defend them so much? Is that why we invest so much in these lies that we hold tight to ourselves? And yet we know on some level they're limiting us. We know on some level they're hurting us, but we don't easily release and relinquish those lies. So I want to just talk to you a little bit about why that may be true and have you think about your own life as I'm talking and think about what lies, what limiting beliefs about yourself or about your world around you are you holding on to that maybe you could challenge with the truth, that maybe you would consider to let go of, that you could think about what could be different in your life if you didn't believe them? But we do become invested in the lies we believe because we believe them for so long. They're easier to believe often than the truth. And we put so much into them and it's so familiar to us that we don't want to let go of them. One point is that rejecting information requires more cognitive effort than simply accepting that it's true. So think about that for a second. One of the reasons we just hold on to the lies that we believe or that we're told that fit whatever paradigm we have is because it's more work for us to look into information, to new information, and decide whether or not to reject it, to say, you know what, that may not be true. I'm willing to look into this and I could reject it if I choose to. That's a lot more effort than just simply accepting that it's true and just taking it as it is. And right now, in the world we live in, there is so much fake news, there is so much disinformation and or misinformation. And the problem is that if you're not willing to do the work to challenge it, if you simply take in anything that fits into your paradigm and just choose not to challenge the things that you need to, you are just basically swallowing and allowing lies to set up shop in your life. They could be about you, they could be about the world around you, but rejecting information that you hear takes more work. Yes, you need to do the research. Yes, you need to come at it from a point of some kind of independence and some kind of way of deciding, is that true? Who's telling me this? Why are they telling me this? Do I want to believe that? But that implies a lot of effort. So if we've believed something for years, if we've invested in a lie by holding on to it, we don't often want to expend the effort it takes to challenge that. And what happens then is misinformation will stick. Lies will stick if they conform to our pre-existing attitudes or beliefs. So if we've been told our whole life, let's say by people in authority, that we will always be a failure, or that we're ugly, or that we don't deserve love, or that we're difficult, or we will always be overweight, whatever negative things sometimes people hear growing up, or they hear from people in their lives that are supposed to love them, people in positions of authority. If we hear that and we develop a complex set of beliefs around that, we develop limiting beliefs, we allow a stronghold to take root in our subconscious that basically solidifies those lies into beliefs that we believe about ourselves. Then when information comes in that conforms to that structure of beliefs, that conforms to that worldview, even though it's built on a lie, but when it conforms to it, it sticks. So what gets really scary here is that one lie begets another. So one lie or toxic mindset, limiting belief that we swallow when we're younger or when we go through any trauma in our life or any difficult situation, when we embrace a lie about ourselves or about our world, what happens is it begets another lie. It attracts another lie because we set up a structure in our mind. We set up a structure of limiting beliefs through which we see the world. It's our filter. So the danger there is if you build a filter out of lies and negative limiting beliefs, and the more that come at you, the more that stick, because they attract like attracts like. So that becomes even more challenging for us to then, really search for the truth, really challenge the lies that are in front of us, because we have a structure that's basically attracting more and more limiting beliefs. And the problem is, what we have to do is make the effort, take the time to pit rational thought against really motivational reasoning and emotion and intuition and wishes and hopes and fears. All of that really, I would say, emotional reasoning, right? Motivated by emotions, all of that tips the scale instead of rational thought. because it conforms to an existing structure of misinformation and lies and negativity that we have built over years and years and years. So the problem is rational thought then loses. There is no place for it because we've gathered all of this over time from childhood, from trauma, from toxic relationships, failures that we haven't dealt with correctly, rejections, disappointments, setting up that structure in our mind and in our subconscious of negativity, of toxic beliefs, of limiting beliefs about ourselves, and then we just attract more and more of that. Rather, the other option would be for us to challenge those beliefs and begin to set up a worldview in our minds and set up a way of seeing ourselves that is positive, that is life affirming, that has potential. And if we choose to take the time to do that, to challenge our limiting beliefs, we will start to attract more and more positive viewpoints, more and more truth about ourselves. We will be more willing to embrace the truth and potential that we have because, again, like attracts like. So think about what I've said. It takes more information for you, it takes more information for you to believe something that you don't want to believe than something that you do want to believe. So of course it takes more work for you to challenge the lies. Of course it takes more work for you to look to deconstruct the limiting beliefs and strongholds that you've built like a scaffolding in your life, right? It takes more information to challenge that. But you have to ask yourself, why? Why are you not willing to do that work? Why are you not willing, as an example, to say to yourself, you know what? Maybe I'm not a failure. What if I won't fail? What if I'll succeed? What if I can succeed? You know, in the case where someone has told you that lie your whole life that you'll never amount to anything, are you willing to challenge that? Are you willing to take off those glasses, willing to tear down that structure, and willing to build a new structure in your life that says, well, what if I am successful? What if I can succeed? Am I willing to believe that? I mean, lies often keep us safe. That's what we think, right? So in this example, if I believe that I will always be a failure, if I will believe that I will never amount to anything, which is something that a belief I gained along the way, let's say in my life at some point, and it usually gets reconfirmed when I go through difficult things, I actually at some point embrace that because I think it keeps me safe, because it keeps me from stepping out. And on some level, we all want to be safe. Our ego wants to keep us safe. So if I believe that I will never succeed, then I won't step out. And therefore, I won't risk failing, right? So lies that we hold onto tightly in a really sick, kind of twisted way end up keeping us safe by keeping us small, by keeping us from stepping out and potentially being exposed. But the bottom line is they cause us pain. Even though there is this sense that they keep us safe, there is this idea that if I stay small and I believe this, then I'll never get hurt again. But the truth is, and you know this, it holds you back. The truth is that it causes you pain merely because you are not the person you were created to be. You're not stepping into the fullness of your purpose or your destiny. And on some level, you know that. And on some level, and on many levels, that causes you pain, confusion, frustration, all those things that come from not being who you were meant to be. But I want you to remember something as you think about these lies in your life that you may have held on to too tightly, that you may have invested in mentally too much. Here is the truth about it. When you believe a lie, it's a cooperative act. So what I'm telling you is you have a choice. You have agreed to accept those lies in your life. You may not have remembered the first time you agreed to accept them. A lot of times it's when we're young and we don't really have a filter, but along the way, they get reinforced. And every time we are agreeing to accept and swallow that lie, and one begets the other. So I want you to remember something. You are not powerless. This is a choice. And maybe that frustrates you because you feel overwhelmed by the lie that holds you back. And maybe it brings you great sadness or fear. But you have to understand that believing a lie is a cooperative act. You're choosing to allow that lie to set up shop in your life. You're choosing to allow it to stay there. So maybe not the first time, maybe not in the beginning, but definitely along the way, repeatedly, you are choosing to continue to believe that lie. That means it's a choice, which inevitably means you can do something about it. So the question I'm going to leave you with is, are you willing to lose that investment that you have made and put into that lie along the way in your life? Are you willing to lose that investment in lieu of something potentially bigger in terms of the absolute impact it can have not only in your life but the world around you when you find out who you really are because you got rid of that lie, you challenged that lie, you were willing to tear down the stronghold of that lie, you were willing to deconstruct the scaffolding that you had built based on limiting beliefs. You were willing to choose not to continue to believe that lie. Considering this is a New Year's podcast, really, on the eve of a year changing, or nearly so, perhaps this is a good way to start 2021 by saying, yes, I am willing to challenge these lies I have invested in. And some of you have invested in these lies and held on to them and built a scaffolding with them in your mind for 30, 40, 50 years, since childhood, for longer. Some of you have done that, and it has held you back, and you know that. Some of you are in the process of experiencing maybe the beginning stages of some limiting beliefs that are threatening to take hold in your life because of some difficult things you're going through. Will you challenge them? Will you say no to setting up a scaffolding of limiting beliefs based on these lies in your life? Are you willing to push back? Do the work, find the information, challenge yourself to say, I do not have to believe this lie. And what if, right? That's the big question. So many times I hear people say, well, what if it's true? And I want to say to you, what if it's not? What if you're believing a lie? What if the truth is different? That is the most exciting what if you can ask yourself. So let's start out the new year by deconstructing these lies in our lives, by taking them down, by replacing them with the truth, and finding out what it really means to be who you were meant to be before the world told you otherwise. Guys, have a great week. Happy New Year, and we will see you and talk to you very soon.
Thank you for listening to Master Your Mindset Radio. Before you go, if you want to be part of a free online community of like-minded individuals for support, resources, and inspiration as you conquer your limiting beliefs and pursue your purpose, go to elizabethnader.com/community. That's elizabethnader.com/community, or search for Master Your Mindset Academy private group on Facebook. Looking forward to seeing you online.